Rumors of negotiations to form a new unity government are slowly gaining momentum in Israel. The new potential partnership would pair Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party with centrist parties Yesh Atid under Knesset opposition leader Yair Lapid and the National Unity Party under former Defense Minister Benny Gantz. And current Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, himself from the Likud, is apparently leading the charge.
Chief among the reasons for Yoav Gallant's alleged actions is to slow down the progress of the coalition's judicial reforms and then to ensure widespread consensus before their advancement.
Gallant and several other high-ranking coalition lawmakers have expressed concern with the government's unilateral methods in passing the judicial reforms, which have led to rising dissent and widespread protests. Additional reasons include laying groundwork for a normalization between Israel and Saudi Arabia. The United States is reportedly brokering a deal, but the Saudi terms require Israel to make major concessions to the Palestinian Authority, which Netanyahu's far-right partners would never entertain. According to new polls by the nation's premier pollsters like Camille Fuchs and Israel's Channel 12, some 54% of Israelis fear that the judicial overhaul will harm Israel's future. 56% fear civil war, and 28% of Israelis are looking to flee the country before it's too late. Experts across the spectrum then have been warning of a dramatic blow to Israel's national security, including Defense Minister Gallant, who was nearly fired for sounding this alarm.
So you see that the tension, the stress level, and the preparedness level in Iran and Hezbollah and Hamas is very high. Okay, so they are preparing for war, for sure. And they are provoking just to test what we are doing. From the inside, I think that we are in a very weak situation. Well, I don't know if I think we are in the starting point of a civil war. You can see what is happening in the media. People are calling, let's divide the country into two parts, into three parts.
The polls also show that should an election be held today, Netanyahu's Likud party would lose seats to the opposition. In fact, the current opposition parties would be expected to have more than enough parliament seats to form a new coalition and without relying on the Arab party's support. So what would need to happen for a unity coalition to take shape? Senior researcher with the Israel Democracy Institute, Dr. Amir Fuchs, explains.
The first way is what is called the constructive vote of unconfidence. It means that the Knesset brings down the current government and establishes a new government in the same vote. And they have to have a 61 majority, and they have to have a new government form with the prime minister and all the ministers and the guidelines of the new government. That's why it's almost impossible to achieve that kind of thing. It never happened in Israel.
To make this happen, at least 5 Knesset members or legislators from within the coalition would have to rebel against their party line, which puts them at risk of heavy sanctions, like being barred from running with any existing party in the next election cycle.
We have laws that try to preserve the parties as they are, and only if there is a third of an existing party, which, for example, from the Likud, they should be around 10 or 11 MKs, in order to form a party that goes out of the Likud, a new party that goes out of them without sanctions.
The second scenario is if the current coalition dissolves itself and throws the country back to elections as it did 5 times in a row between 2019 and 2022, ahead of the current 25th Knesset. But again, that is highly unlikely.
The third and most unlikely option is that Yesh Atid and National Unity join the current coalition without dissolving or reforming a government. This would dilute the far-right party's influence and pave the way to dealing with the Saudis. But this too is likely a non-starter. Gantz and Lapid have repeatedly stated that they will never form a government with Likud as long as Netanyahu is leading it, and that if there's a deal with Saudi Arabia that represents Israel's national security interests, they'll just back it from within the opposition. Neither Lapid nor Gantz have interest in legitimizing Netanyahu's recent actions, particularly as the prime minister stands trial on corruption charges. So in short, is there hope for a unity government? Well, despite an actual majority of Israeli respondents supporting the idea, signs point to no.
Reporting from Tel Aviv in front of the Israeli Ministry of Defense, I'm Aaron Porras for The Media Line.